This week, we'll see how many signatures we've got on the back of Susie Shearer's watercolour, and Gaynor and Nadia will bring us up to date on events in Palestine. But first, let's have a look at some cute dogs. People have often brought their dogs along to the Vigil. So we thought it was time that we brought our own Dougal along. Despite being still quite young, he behaved really well, helped perhaps by a regular supply of little sausages. You may remember a few weeks ago, Susie Shearer presented us with a watercolour of the Vigil outside the St Agnes Cathedral. Since then, Nadia has been gathering signatures of the people attending the Vigil on the back of the watercolour so that we can send this out to Gaza and let them see just how many people support them. It was worrying this week to see how quickly the UK and other countries cut off aid to Palestine. I asked Gaynor what effect this was having.
Yeah, so we're here today, as you know, supporting or calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, but we also have major concerns about what's happening right across the West Bank. Particularly from our Orkney perspective, we've got links with friends in Shufat refugee camp in Palestine, and they and all the refugee camps right across the region are now facing 80% cuts from the UN agency that supports their core services. So UNRWA is going to have 80% of its funding cut, which means that for Shufat refugee camps' point of view, they'll be lucky if they can keep their school going and their health clinic going for the next 3 months. So we really call for support for countries to really reconsider the resources and the aid that they're prepared to put to UNRWA. This is lifeline services for refugees right across the region.
Here we can see some flags representing just a tiny proportion of the people that have been killed so far, over 27,000 now. So with that in mind, I asked Nadia how things were going in Gaza and Rafah in particular.
Well, we're here yet again on a very blustery and cold Saturday afternoon, but we've got many people here still coming out to show our support for the people of Gaza and also calling for a return of the hostages that are being held there. We're very concerned about the potential incursion into Rafah, where over 1 million refugees have been displaced. And we're just hoping that a ceasefire will be called soon before any more innocent civilians are killed.
So I think it's particularly important to be here this week, although it's important generally to support the people in Gaza, but this week we're really worried about what's happening in Rafah in the south of the Strip, where there's I think 1.3 million refugees who have gathered there from other parts of the Gaza Strip, and they're now surrounded by the Israeli army, and the Israeli government has said that they're going to launch a ground offensive there, and there's literally nowhere left for those people to go. They're right up against the Egyptian border, and you've got the sea on one side as well. Throughout the whole of this, people have at least had somewhere to move. Although those that have remained behind in the north, their houses are completely destroyed, and it seems that people are starting to starve up there now. But that group of refugees, the 1.3 million people that are in Rafah, now look like they're going to be subject to air bombardment and a ground offensive, and I think it's really important that we stop that, because although everything that's happened up until now has been horrendous, that would be a real disaster if the army go in with that dense population.